show is AD on the radio. What?
Today on the show, how is it possible that there have been multiple instances of attempted vehicular homicide motivated by love triangles gone wrong in the same week? Also, Anthony Weiner is headed to the pokey, and Funkhouser remembers the girlfriend who cheated on him while playing Words with Friends.
Oh, yeah, that BITC.
Hey!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a no, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, it's interesting. We didn't have a chance to get to it yesterday, but there's an interesting sociological study that's been done about being in a fraternity, like going to college, being in a frat. Now, apparently it negatively impacts your grades, but it can have very positive ramifications on your life after college. How so? Well, like I said, it says something kind of fascinating about society and things of that nature. And we'll get to it a little later on because, well, we didn't have a chance to yesterday and people have been asking me about it. So we will do that. Right now, though, Funkhouser, I got to tell you.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a bad time to be single for a couple different reasons.
Aw.
STDs are at a record high here in the United States of America. At this point, you're lucky if you have sex with someone and don't wind up with the clap. According to the CDC, there were more than 2 million new STD cases in the United States last year, which is an all-time high. 1.6 million people got chlamydia, 470,000 got gonorrhea, and 28,000 got syphilis, which I thought was like an old-timey disease that went out with polio and your grandfather, but apparently not. Fortunately, all three of those can be treated with antibiotics if you get tested and you know you have it, but if they don't get treated, they can cause potentially serious or even fatal problems. So that's not fun. The other reason why it's not fun to be single out there looking to mingle is because of the amount of sexually related vehicular homicide attempts there have been this past week just gone by. What? I hear you say? Go ahead, Funkhouser.
What? This week gone by? Why?
Well, there's 2 instances of sexual trysts gone wrong, resulting in someone trying to run over people with a car. And it seems crazy that all this sort of stuff happens all at once, but let's start with this one. Who the hell knew swingers drove practical family vehicles? I always kind of pictured them in El Caminos or Hummers or tricked out dune buggies or vans from the 1970s with unicorns airbrushed onto the side. I don't know. But the police in Bay City, Michigan got a call this past Thursday night just gone by about a woman trying to run people over with her Dodge Caravan minivan. Why? Well, turns out the woman was a 28-year-old female called Amber Shoemaker, and she was mad because a swingers party had gone very, very wrong. Her 33-year-old husband had been getting busy with another woman, and Amber was alone with that woman's husband, but they were not en fuego, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. So when Amber's husband came downstairs, she got all mad. She slapped him. Then she ran outside. Her husband and the other couple ran after her, and she got in her minivan and tried to run them over. She wound up with 3 felony counts of assault with a dangerous weapon and could be looking at up to 12 years in jail. Funkhouser, you had that one ex-girlfriend.
That's a bad time. You know you got to take everyone's keys right when they walk in the door for those kind of things to not happen. Come on, protocol, people.
Wow.
What the heck is going on here?
Sound like you speak from experience.
You always put your shoes on before you go outside.
Isn't that what it was called back in the day? A key party, meaning like you'd put your keys in the bowl.
I don't know.
Like whoever's keys you picked up, you would go home with.
Oh,
that was like the weird.
Yeah, I remembered some of that from the 70s.
Didn't you have one
where those diseases came from?
But wasn't there one girlfriend that wanted you to swing?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. You know that Words with Friends? That's a dangerous app. And so
she met potential swinging partners on Words with Friends.
Yeah, that's what opened Pandora's box was. Well, at least that's what the story was told to me. Yeah, I met this guy randomly on Words with Friends, and he lives down the street. Who would have thunk it? He's got this
not swingers in our neighborhood.com. It was definitely Words with Friends.
And he's got this wild idea. Oh, it was so wild. Oh, let me tell you about it. While I was getting the word kebab and getting 67 points, he mentioned...
Interesting that it would be kebab.
He mentioned that this thing that they do every Tuesday of the 4th month where people just don't wear outfits to it. Isn't that funny?
This was actually the setup for it?
It was something like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you never attended this thing that happened on the 3rd Tuesday of every month.
I left out the best part. He's got a wife, you know. Oh, and she's quite attractive. Here's a picture of her. Oh, dimly lit from a restroom stall. Yes! She's fly.
Wait a second. Hold on. Can you even send pictures through Words with Friends?
By this point, we decided that we would share phone numbers. I hope that's okay with you. Here, you can have her number, too. Her name's Linda.
Uh-huh. If I was you, I would also be trying to run people over with a minivan, so maybe I understand where this woman's coming from.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, wait a second. It's interesting that your ex-girlfriend said that she met this potential swinging partner, couple, whatever, on Words with Friends. And you know why it's interesting? Because I remember when I first started playing Words with Friends, this guy who was of the Dirty Dog variety, he's like, "You're playing Words with Friends," and at that time I had a Windows phone, so I was
Dirty
like,
Dog. What consists? How can you be described as a dirty dog?
I had a Windows phone, so I was not playing Words with Friends. I was the one person on the planet that was not playing it. I think I played like Words by Post or something like that with exactly no one, because that was like the Windows phone version of it before I kind of wised up in that department. But he was just like, yeah, and when I say it was of the Dirty Dog variety, is because he had various girlfriends and wasn't faithful to pretty much any of them during the time that I knew him. And he was like, here's the thing, like, it's great for talking to girls on the low. Using the Messenger in Words with Friends is awesome because my girlfriend looks at all my texts, but she doesn't look at the Words with Friends messages, and that's where I'm talking to all the action that I'm getting on the side. So your girlfriend using Words with Friends to meet people for weird hookups is actually maybe not as unusual as you think it is, Funkhouser.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right, then.
Now you know.
Crosswords aren't even safe anymore.
Yeah, crosswords aren't even safe anymore. This is information that would have been useful to you 2 years ago. But actually, do you remember like...
That's okay. She learned how to spell ALONE eventually. So, bam!
Very good. Very good.
You take your weekend siestas and bite that down. Chew on that.
Yeah. I remember do you remember Slingo? Do you remember like there was all these different online games that people played in AOL Instant Messenger in like the early 2000s? Do you ever play Slingo?
No, I didn't play the games. I had the away message. That was fishing.
I loved the fishing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not away right now, but if you're a hot girl, leave your message and I'll get back to you.
I remember once when that whole thing became a thing. I remember coming home with this engineering buddy of mine who was like, dude, you gotta explore chat rooms. And I was just like, what do you mean? He was like, it's the best way to meet girls. Like, you just go, like, he was like, I can be home at 5 in a chat room by 5:10, talking to like 6 or 7 girls by 5:30, out at a bar at 6, back home at my place, plowing by 7. It's the best. And like I noticed he had a category in his AOL Instant Messenger that said fresh meat. And I looked at it and I was just like, nothing good will come of this. Nothing good will come of this. And like for the kids that aren't aware, the AOL chat rooms used to be a really kind of cool thing. I remember being a guy in a band. I used to go in all the punk rock chat rooms and, you know, like the
IRC.
I never did the IRC. It was only the America Online chat rooms. But I remember being in like the New York City punk rock and hardcore chat rooms. And I remember the drummer from Goldfinger used to hang out on there. And like some of us in bands would have like our real name and our fake name, or our real name and our public name. Like I'm messaging with this guy, you know, oh, you don't know his real name. It's just, you know, Goldfinger drummer 72 on in the chat room, but he has his own one. So you'd have your public screen name and then your private screen name, and who you gave your private screen name to.
You'd have to log out and log back in. Hold on, I'll be right back on my other name.
I think you did have to log back out and log back in. I can't remember, but like, and I remember not going into chat rooms anymore because they immediately, well, not immediately, but after a year or two, they became overrun with like porn bots, like people sending you invites to porn sites, and it was just. It was kind of a shame because they ruined a cool thing. I remember going to these chat rooms and, you know, connecting with people that really cared about the same music as you did. And
oh man, I got kicked off. Oh,
yeah. Hold on,
Mom, did you pick up the phone?
Yes.
What? Yeah. Hold on. We were just talking about something. I hope they're still there when I get back. Nobody pick up the phone. One more. Oh no.
You've got mail.
Oh, okay.
It used to be the most gratifying sound you can ever hear. And there were like local access numbers too. I remember getting to hotels when we were on tour and like saying to my tour manager, yo, you got a local access number for America Online yet? It was the most amazing thing ever. But my friend had like this incredible way of meeting and having sex with women through the America Online Instant Messenger. And I was like, nothing good will ever come of this. This is terrible stuff. And I think he wound up marrying a girl.
So I met my first girlfriend.
So I was wrong. Something good did come of it. They've got beautiful children now. Good for them. Yay. Good for you. Go. But there were all these other games too, like Slingo. And I remember going to a casino once and being like, no way, Slingo, the AOL game, is now like something that you can play at a casino. But I remember playing this like AOL card game and this one girl sending me naked pictures over the messenger on it. I was like, well, that's a weird place to try and hook up. It was very, very strange. So, hooking up on the internet under the guise of wanting to play
good
things
old
like
days.
Words with Friends is apparently not that new of a phenomenon.
Yeah.
But like getting back to the woman,
that's a big number for a score there.
Getting back to the woman feeling jealous and trying to run swingers over with her minivan because she felt left out of the situation, jealous and not okay with it. When the whole thing was suggested to you, did you feel, well, we'll discuss how you felt next.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950. Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So as I was saying to Funkhouser earlier, it's a tough time to try and be single for several reasons. One, STDs are higher than they've ever been before, like literally in the history of America. Two, there have been multiple instances of sexually inspired attempted vehicular homicide this week. A woman in Michigan got upset during a swingers party last week when her husband got it on with another woman. So she got her minivan and then tried to run over her husband, that woman, and the woman's husband. She's facing 3 felony assault charges and is looking at jail time. Funkhouser, when it was suggested to you by an ex-girlfriend who was of questionable moral fiber that you swing, what sort of feelings did that evidence in you? Like, you liked this girl. Like, I'm not trying to be flippant about it, because you really liked this girl at the time, and I seem to remember you feeling like, look, if this is what's going to make her happy, maybe I'm willing to go along to get along. And then at the very last minute, you found out that the people she wanted to hook up with were like, oh, by the way, no big, got herpes or something like that. And so
that's the thing. And look, I spent a long number of years in adult content in the spoken words, so nothing really phases me. I've seen a lot. It's fine.
You've worked with a lot of adult entertainers.
Yeah, and the last girl I was with, I took her to a dominatrix club, and we know how boring she was, and it was nice. So I've seen and done a lot of stuff. So things don't faze me, especially when you meet somebody off the internet. Anything could happen at any time. So, and I'm into keeping the relationship going. If we're happy in all the other things, and if all she needs is that, then let's explore it. But I remember you feeling like, I'm not into that. Correct me if I'm not trying to paint you as I was not. No.
Yeah. It's just it's a weird thing, because I'll never forget doing a party somewhere, hosting something for a radio station once, and next door were all these older people drunken and fondling each other. And I'm not saying older to try and be flippant about it, but they were all in their 40s and
older
50s.
Than you.
Yeah. And there were no young people. There were no 19-year-olds there. It was definitely for the 40 and up crowd. And I remember being invited into it by a woman who was just like, it's a couples party. And I was like, oh, I'm not part of a couple. They're like, that doesn't matter. It's not that kind of couples party. It's just sort of, and I was like, oh. And she kept using the expression, the lifestyle. I was like, no lifestyle for me. Thank you very much. I'm good. I don't need to be passed around or pass anyone around. And I wouldn't like to see what he's got going on south of the equator. I prefer only one sausage in the room at the time when I am in a romantic situation. Thank you, but no thank you. And she's like, well, it's really great. And it's just a really fun and loving community and all this sort of stuff. She was like really trying to talk me into it. And I was like, it's really not for me. Thank you. But she was really trying to sell me on the quality of the human that tended to get involved with this sort of thing. Because she was like, oh, they're very sort of evolved.
Well, that's true.
Sort of well, yeah. But then
for
there's,
the most part.
I think there's some of us, or look, if you're not hurting anybody else, I do not judge what you do. But in this instance, I just think there's people that aren't cut out for that, as is evidenced by the fact that a woman got jealous and tried to run a bunch of people over because she wasn't being included in the swinging. So there's that. Now, I did mention multiple instances of attempted vehicular homicide motivated by an act of sex, did I not? This has happened more than one time this past week just gone by. And the second instance, I bet you're wondering what it is, Funkhouser.
Well, it could be anything.
Well, it's people that are going to have an unbelievably awkward Thanksgiving dinner come November. There is a 58-year-old woman in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning about that city. Sure.
Yeah, some of the people that listen in Orlando might be familiar with it. There's this 58-year-old woman in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, named Kathleen Davis, and she recently had an affair with a 33-year-old guy who just so happened to be her daughter's husband. Yes.
Steve Wilkos.
Okay, so right now, scandalous, tabloidy, but where, I hear you asked, does a vehicular homicide attempt come into it? Well, Kathleen got very upset last week when he confessed about the affair, and it destroyed Kathleen's relationship with her daughter, as one might expect it would. It also destroyed the marriage, and they're getting divorced, but Kathleen was more focused on herself. Obviously, bit of a narcissistic tendency you must have when you're willing to start an affair with your daughter's husband. So last week, she egged the guy's house and car, and then she tried to run him over with her Mercedes. True. And when the cops got there, they found Kathleen driving in circles on the lawn, sorry, it's really not funny, but she was trying to run the guy down. Why he got out of the house when she was there in her car, I'm not sure, but he was driving in circles trying to chase him. And she also, the woman at the swingers party, she too was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after attempting to run someone over.
There's a specific lawyer in America right now going, 2 cases at once.
Yeah, you never.
Marcy, hold my calls.
Yeah, it's impolite thing to do with the car. Unlike the woman in Colorado, if you picture Colorado as this weed paradise, this is not going to change your mind. A woman named Mandy Shepard from Denver went to her car after work on Sunday. She saw a scratch on the back bumper. She also found a little bag on her left side mirror with 3 things inside. A note that said, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I am such a dumbass. Sorry for the scratch, man." True. $40 in cash and half a joint. Mandy said she's going to use the money to pay what it takes to buff out the scratch, but she's not sure what to do with the joint, saying, quote, "I'm not a smoker, I'm a runner." I'm looking at the picture of her haul. It's interesting stuff. That's a significantly politer way to go through life, as opposed to having sex with your daughter's husband than trying to run him over with a car. All right, Funkhouser.
Oh, boy.
I do really want to talk about how being in a fraternity can affect your life moving forward because, like I said, it's a very interesting sociological observation about how we as a society and a people function together, and we'll get to that later. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today. What's going on in the news?
Well, scientists say that sending people to Mars may be complicated because of cosmic rays. If it's not one thing, it's another thing.
Here's the deal, though. If we got a good superhero movie out of it, I think we're square. Go on.
Didn't we send somebody to Mars a couple days ago? What was his name? That actor.
Oh. Well, on TV, yeah. Sean Penn is starring in a TV show about someone that colonizes Mars, and everyone went, haha. If there's one person we like to send to Mars, it's that guy. What happened? You used to be Spicoli and fun, and now not so much.
Now you're a real dick. A new survey says 9% of people fantasize about a fictional character when they...
I think I know what you mean. No need to expound upon that.
People when they
when, as George Costanza's mom said to him, when you treat your body like an amusement park. 9% of people fantasize about a fictional character. Well, You know what? For the record, that's not weird. And yes, Thundercats are sexy. Oh, Cheetara. Wait, did I think that or did I say that out loud? Real classy. Let's get to the story.
I wish you just thought that.
Yeah, me too.
President Trump is rolling back limits that President Obama put on who can be the target of drone strikes.
Yeah, everybody had this hard time with Obama.
I just got my license.
You know, people had a really hard time with Obama being into drone strikes. The idea that the U.S. was drone striking people, that there wasn't even a human being attached to this, was thought in many ways, and still is thought in many ways, to be absolutely morally reprehensible. It's treating this sort of thing as a video game. We've talked over and over again about how it's so important to have the human connection in life, because when you start dealing with abstracts, when you start forgetting that there are lives behind these numbers that you see on a piece of paper, then you're verging into dangerous territory, and that is the exact problem that people had with Obama allowing drone strikes. And it was interesting because the right had a very specific problem with it. There were a lot of people in sort of countries that had been hit with U.S. drone strikes that said, you've created an enemy for life. By doing this, by coming at us with a drone, by the collateral civilian damage, we will hate America forever and ever, and we will not rest until we have our vengeance. And the right went, hey, see what Obama's doing? Obama is a warmonger like you wouldn't believe. He's got to stop these drone strikes. They are morally reprehensible, and he loves them. And then what happens? The next president... And by the way, I'm not picking on Donald Trump. I'm not picking on Barack Obama. I'm just very much of the opinion that there really are slim amounts of differences between various presidents. And it doesn't matter what color they paint themselves, red or blue. You're going to get a lot of the same stuff with every single person that winds up elected president of these United States of America and leader of the free world. All that stuff that they said they wouldn't do, that they said was morally reprehensible, well, they're going to dive headlong into it. I think probably the most famous case of that being read my lips, no new taxes. And then we were taxed out the wazoo, or at least our parents were. But President Trump is rolling back limits that President Obama put on who can be the target of drone strikes. Or as the NFL puts it, duck.
Relevant joke.
Go well. Yeah, relevant
Timely.
joke. Yeah. Timely. Topical. Thought-provoking, even.
Here's one that'll last a little longer. North Korea's foreign minister said President Trump declared war on the country through Twitter.
Gives North Korea something in common with the NFL.
Oh.
It's weird. No, we are in this very odd day and age where everything is playing out on social media. And I think, to be clear, Donald Trump has not declared war. Look, I know Donald Trump has not declared war. But in terms of things that could be potentially interpreted as a declaration of war, he's done an awful lot of threatening. Very vocal, very visual, visceral threatening. And a lot of people are like, simmer down on that one. There's ways of doing this where people can read between the lines and you're not begging it to happen. But it's a weird situation that we're in. Everything is playing out on social media now in a way that it never did in the past. This was the first election to be won or lost on Facebook or Twitter, whatever form of social media you think is responsible for carrying the election the way that it went. When we lived through Hurricane Harvey in Houston, that was the first really big natural disaster to play out on social media, and that was an incredible thing. The mitigating effects of everybody being digitally connected were truly stunning. The death toll, when you compare it to something like Katrina, which happened when Facebook was something only used by college students, was just exponentially lower. And so here we are, war being declared in a digital age. Now, obviously, Kim Jong's out of his ever-loving mind. But this is really kind of like the first time someone's taken a tweet, something posted online, and said, you're declaring war on us. These are words of war. This is an act of war. And it's happening on the internet. So there you go. North Korea's foreign minister says President Trump declared war on the country through Twitter. Fascinating and scary stuff. What else?
Hashtag bunker. Hashtag water. President Trump added 8 countries to his latest travel ban.
Which is great, because the last time I checked, there were still a few places in the world that didn't completely despise us. So, way to go on that one. The travel, you know what? The travel ban's a whole show in and of itself.
Yeah, do airplane tickets go up in value, or do they drop in price when that happens? I wonder.
I hadn't looked at the...
if you fly somewhere that's part of the travel ban now, is it a lot more or a lot less?
And how do you even get... Oh, well, okay. All right, what else?
Anthony Weiner was sentenced to 21 months in prison for sexting with a high school girl.
Yeah. Everyone has seen the rise and fall of Weiner. Weiner said he'd like to stick it out with his political career, but Weiner kept being exposed for what Weiner really is.
Oh.
Even when his wife Uma cut Weiner off, Weiner said that he was a changed man, but it was the same old schlong and dance, Funkhouser, and now Weiner will do hard time.
That is shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again.
You know, Funkhouser,
Yeah,
there's been an absolute heat wave where you live in Camarillo, California.
Oh boy,
these
and
days.
it's going up.
Yeah, it's like unbelievably hot.
It's a scorcher.
So, bearing all that in mind, have you looked for ways to cool yourself down?
No, I've only been watching the El Paso news because of Candlelight.
Oh,
You
right.
reminded me of her again, and I just had to
That,
check in on her. So I know that it's hot there, too.
Funkhouser went on a trip across America, and when he was in El Paso, Texas, he met Candlelight, the weather the weather personality on the Fox affiliate out there. And,
Kandolite.
And you found her to be incredibly attractive.
Oh, she's a great weather girl. Weather person.
The weather person, right. Here's the thing. It is scorchingly hot in places like El Paso, Texas, and in Houston, Texas, where I spent a good chunk of my life. And whenever I come to San Diego to work at Rock 105.3, San Diego's rock station, whenever I'm in the office here, I'm like, it's uncomfortably hot here. And people go, what do you mean? You live in Texas a lot. You should be used to this. This is really, and here's the thing. It drives me freaking crazy because you get to California and admittedly it's nowhere near as hot as Texas, but Texas, you know what Texas is? The entire state is centrally air conditioned. There's a window of about 30 seconds where you are uncomfortable in Texas. The time that you leave your front door to the time that you get in your car and the air conditioning kicks in. By the way, you can, and I have, burned my hands and my butt on seats and steering wheels. Like I remember, I'll never forget being late for something in Texas and like jumping into my car and it'd been parked in the sun and I had like a wooden steering wheel and it was like lacquered. So I guess it really kind of retained the heat, but it was so scorchingly hot that I couldn't touch it. And I was trying to, I didn't have time to wait for it to cool down because I was late and I literally burned my hands on the steering wheel. It was so hot in Texas. But like I said, the thing about Texas is the whole place is centrally air conditioned. Come to San Diego where it's a beautiful sunny and 70 at all times. Well, I'm used to cranking the AC to 65 and living that way. That's how it is in Texas, and that's very chilly and very comfortable, and we absolutely love it. And here in San Diego, people are like, oh, there's a breeze. There's a cool breeze. It's great.
Yeah, open a window.
No breeze. Yeah, there's no freaking breeze in the studio. And when I complained to the engineer here, he's like, oh, it's like 75 degrees. What are you worried about? I'm like, it should be 65 degrees. That's what I'm used to. And you know what 75 degrees is, Funkhouser? 75 degrees is
this
just
a commercial for? Is this a commercial for your deodorant thing from yesterday? Because you got us yesterday with one. Now you're going to get one today too.
Yeah. Degree for Men has helped with my anger toward the engineers that refuse to turn the air conditioning on at our building. Like sometimes it's just like, I didn't sign up to do radio in Cambodia. Why am I sweating while talking in and out of Limp Bizkit records? Like, what the hell, man? What the hell?
I thought that's the only way.
Right. But he was like, it's 75. That's great. I'm like, 75 isn't great. You know what 75 is? 75, so angry I can't even speak. 75 is just warm enough to where you almost sweat, but don't sweat. So you have that thing where the sweat is just about to break the surface of your skin, but doesn't, which means you're permanently itching yourself like a junkie. And I hate it. But
yeah, that's the I'm not wearing underwear today. Perfect temperature.
Yeah. Although the hotter you get, the harder Degree for Men works for you. So I've got that going for me now.
I knew it.
But like, have you attempted to cool yourself down by, drinking cold drinks or perhaps eating ice cream? You eat ice cream on a hot day, Funkhouser?
I'll drive through a Wendy's and get one of those Frosties. Those are really good.
I personally have never really trusted the ice cream man. And here's how I know Jerry Seinfeld feels the same way I do.
I like the good humor man. I'd wait for him. It was another huge thing of life as a guy you hear that little jingle bell and the white truck and the little white suit, and we'd stand in line behind the truck, and all the different ice creams that you could get was on the back of the truck, placed right over the exhaust pipe. You had a Dixie cup. It was the equivalent of smoking a pack of Camels. Nobody cared. These were good times.
I still haven't watched the Jerry Seinfeld special, the new Netflix one. Like, and everyone was like, what do you mean you haven't watched it yet? I'm like, I'm not going to just sit there and watch it 15 minutes at a time. I'm not going to do it while I'm working. I need a day. I need to make myself a nice meal. I need to get comfortable on the couch. I need to watch it. I need to give it the respect that it deserves. And that's like a little piece of it. And because of that, I cannot.
All right. Well, we expect a full report then, because everyone while watching it wonders what you think about certain things.
Yeah, when it comes to Seinfeld, literally everyone has asked me, like, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it? How is it? And I haven't watched it yet. What? Well, have you? Well, no, I was going to ask you and then watch it depending on what you thought of it. I was like, Seinfeld is going to be freaking brilliant. That's how it's going to be. All right, Funkhouser, how much time do we have left?
Oh, we got a whole other one after this.
Good. All right, we're going to talk about the interesting sociological experiment that went down recently with regard to fraternities and how it affects your life moving forward. Apparently, it kills your GPA, but it can be good for you in other ways. In other ways, that say something very significant about what we are as human beings. Well, right now, though, what is going on in the world, Funkhouser?
Well, there was a guy arrested outside the White House with 9 guns, 3 knives, brass knuckles, and other weaponry in his car.
Huh. Yeah. He was immediately hired. Continue.
Target announced it'll raise the starting worker wage to $11 an hour.
$11 an hour, huh?
From $10.50, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. You're having an excellent birthday month, Scott Baio.
10
$11 an hour.
cents.
$11 an hour. Is that good? And is that national? Like the minimum
That's about
wage
20
varies
grand a
from
year.
state to state, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if his cost of living increases. It's a very interesting thing. The way the world is going with everything being automated. You remember the fast food workers situation where they were demanding more money per hour to do what they were doing? And I've said it time and time again. I am not in a position to judge what you do for a living. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know the amount of work that goes into it. If you make a living working in the world of fast food, then, like I said, I'm in no position to pass any kind of judgment on what it is you do. But you know who's going to? The company you work for. These burger vending machines are replacing people at fast food restaurants at a rate of knots. And it's very important that people recognize that rather than stamping their feet asking for more money, which you may very well deserve. Recognize that the company you work for is going to do everything to not give you that, except for maybe Target. $11 an hour, huh?
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Hey, Funkhouser.
What?
You know how Anthony Weiner, we talked about the fact that he's going to jail?
Who?
Anthony Weiner is going to jail. Well, let's remix the Wiener.
Weiner tweeted lewd picture legal. Firm. Weiner tweeted lewd picture.
I was pranked. Prank. It was someone sending a picture of a wiener on Wiener's account. Prank. The wiener situation has exploded. Prank.
Is this tweeted, or is this not?
Tweet.
Representative Weiner's chief of staff.
All right, then.
Oh, man. Somebody had a lot of time. And a lot of clips.
Don't judge. Go on.
Did you know that the average person spends more time on the toilet than exercising?
Although, in my defense, depending on what you eat, that can be exercise.
Oh, man. No, I don't want to think about that.
Nope, neither do I. Let's move right
Yesterday was National Comic Book Day.
Or as people who have sex called it, Wednesday. Go on.
A Virginia woman was bitten by an 8-inch copperhead at a Longhorn Steakhouse.
Oh, that is absolutely my nightmare. That's
what's
my
a copperhead?
A snake, Funkhouser, a snake.
Oh.
Have we talked about this on the show?
Yeah, you and snakes don't get along yet.
Yeah, I have an actual
I used to live with
snakes.
one for a while, remember?
Right
outside my door. On a flimsy table.
Horrific. This idea that, what kind of snake was it? Like
it was
python
a boa.
or something? Everybody has a boa or a python.
Yeah, it's one of those that you can like skate on the boardwalk with. Not me.
What do you mean
I
skate on the boardwalk?
Like you can take it out in public.
Oh, you wrap it around yourself and walk down the street because you're so freaking
it's like
interesting.
Clothes.
I have an exotic pet. Everybody look at me. I hate that.
Well, if you have boobs, it's different. Isn't it?
No, it's not. You're still saying, look at me, look at me. Was this when you were a roommate with an adult entertainer? Was this
Could
one
be.
of your, like...
Could be.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And you don't think adult entertainers are of the look at me variety of human?
Didn't say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh my gosh, I would lose my ever-loving mind. Oh, one of the human resources guys that I work with has a pet snake that he keeps in his office. And he's always like, hey, I have a question about this. He's like, why don't you come up to the office? I'm like, no, thanks. And like I've told him, I was like, you're human resources. You should get this. Me and snakes don't get along. The idea that there's a snake in this building creeps me the hell out, dude. It creeps me the hell out. And I'm not going up to your office. Can you please come down to the studio and meet me rather than like, and he's been like, I totally understand. And as a responsible human resources guy, I will meet you somewhere outside of my office where there is not a snake. It freaks me out. Oh, God, it's my absolute nightmare. A woman bitten by an 8-inch copperhead at a Longhorn Steakhouse. Ugh. I think it's about time these restaurants stop experimenting with the fixins on their salad bar and go back to the basics. What the hell, man? What the hell? What's the gnarliest thing you ever saw in a restaurant?
For sale, like on the menu, or just
just in a restaurant. No, not on the menu, because that's there's all sorts of weird.
The gnarliest thing I've ever seen. I've seen mice.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I remember sitting there. I remember sitting there at an Indian restaurant with the guitar player in my band in London once, and we decided to go for a curry. And
decided to go for a curry, did you?
Yeah, and then we were in there, and we saw like a mouse run across the floor, and this guy sitting next to us, he's like, this curry is starting to taste like it's free. And I was just like, I'm leaving. And he was just like, he couldn't shovel that thing in fast enough. He was like, free curry. Look at the mouse. Look at the mouse. I was at a Chinese...
What a British response. This curry is beginning to sound like it's free.
Yeah, this curry tastes distinctly free of charge. I was at a Chinese restaurant once, and I discovered a little curly hair in my white rice.
Well, that could be anything, really, couldn't it?
No, there's really only one thing that it could be. Especially because, like, all of the staff at this Chinese restaurant were Chinese. And I don't know about you, but I have yet to run into a Chinese person with curly hair on their head. So... like, I find it in my white rice, and I show it to the guy, and rather than like being, I'm so sorry, what could this be? He was like, huh? And he holds it up, and he's like, so small. I was just like, it's still there. He's like, you have very good eyesight. I was like, this is not the issue. But thank you very much. But yeah, the mouse in the curry joint was far and away the worst. I would lose my mind if I saw a snake in the salad bar. Yeah.
Somebody found a frog in their salad once. That a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember. This was somebody bought like a bag salad at Walmart and found a live frog in it. I thought that's absolutely ridiculous. No one's ever heard of anything like that ever happening in recorded history. I found it very difficult to believe that someone bought a salad at Walmart.
Well, now they'll deliver it straight to your house.
Yeah, those are the hands I want in my fridge. Go on.
Showtime has purchased the TV rights to a novel written by Bill Clinton.
Oh. I wonder what it's about. Probably about the hellish life of a guy whose wife storms around the house all day screaming, how did I lose? How did I lose?
Yeah, he's got a lot of rooms in his house. He probably doesn't hear her or has seen her in a while. Hey, I'll be in this room if you need me, writing a book.
I'm just over here writing a book.
Showtime's purchased the TV rights. I better finish it.
Yeah, there's so much work here. So much work that has to be done on my book. I think I should consider getting an intern. No? Okay. Worth a shot.
Mel Brooks says political correctness will be the death of comedy.
Yeah, I thought this was actually kind of interesting. Mel Brooks was... Look, have you seen Blazing Saddles?
Who, me?
Have you?
No.
Yeah. Mel Brooks has joined the growing chorus of comedians who think political correctness is killing comedy. He doesn't think that he could make Blazing Saddles today because of it. And bearing what Blazing Saddles is and some of the lines in it, I would have to agree. I don't think that's something that could be done without the internet losing its ever-loving mind and people just making up their mind that they wouldn't go, they wouldn't attend, and that he was a hateful man for some of the things in that movie. Now people look back on it fondly and go, ha 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 ha. That sure was a different time. But he said, we have become stupidly politically correct, which is the death of comedy. It's okay not to hurt feelings of various tribes and groups. However, it's not good for comedy. Comedy has to walk a thin line, and comedy has to be allowed to take risks. Comedy is the lecherous little elf whispering in the king's ear, always telling the truth about human behavior. There's a bunch of comedians that don't agree with him. Paul F. Tompkins tweeted, quote, PC culture is not killing comedy. There's still plenty of comedy. There always will be. Times change, and so do comedy styles. There's plenty of edgy satire out there, stuff that takes on the powerful. And some other folks said things like political correctness means different things to different people. It's a vague term, which means it's pretty much a useless term.
Hey, everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Yay.
Yeah. And that's your right, is it? Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's like, that this is what you said on Facebook or posted on Facebook 4 or 5 years ago thing. What's it called? Time hop or whatever? Or on this day?
Thanks, Zuckerberg, for that. Stab to my heart every year.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, this was the day. It was awesome. Oh.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, yeah, it is really difficult to see. Like, the memory pops up of, like, anyways, something that you don't...
My old snake. Aw.
Right. Things of that nature. But I saw some stuff that I'd written on Facebook like 5 years ago recently, or 6 years, probably a little longer than that, 6 years ago. And I was like, what the hell was I thinking? I was like, this is really, really, I don't even remember writing this. I don't know. I remember thinking, damn, that's really funny. I would never say anything like that online now. And I remember thinking, that's kind of a shame. That's sort of a pity because, look, the reason I wouldn't say it online is because it would make some people mad. And I remember I got some fan mail back in those days, and someone said something along the lines of, you raise not giving an F to an art form. And I felt kind of good about that. But here's the thing. I'm in a different place in my life where I'm trying to bring people together, and I never want to... Look, as silly as we are on this show, I honestly believe we're doing some kind of important work. We're looking to unite people of different beliefs. We're looking to heal divides. We're looking to build bridges and all this sort of stuff. And people are so quick to fly off the handle and be angry that I didn't want to drive anybody away. And I noticed that I've sort of like tamed myself down. There's a lot of things that I think are truly funny that would just, I know, set people ablaze with anger on the internet if I said them on this show. And it kind of bums me the hell out a little bit because the un-PC version of myself that I used to be, I don't miss it, but it would be cool to have that amount of creative freedom. It would be great to know that you could be unbelievably off color and know that people would understand it was a joke and not what was in your heart if they found it to be offensive, and that sometimes you just liked creative and funny and clever wordplay. But that's gone. You have to, you got to be very, very careful. If you have a real point to make, you have to be very, very careful about what you do and do not say, because there's so many things. And this goes back to what we were saying about the NFL. I wouldn't take a knee, not because I don't believe in free speech, not because I don't believe that there's a problem with racism in this country, literally all over the world, however you want to frame it up. But taking a knee offends members of our military, which I wouldn't want to do. Taking a knee also hardens the resolve of the opposition that you face. If you're saying, hey, the world's racist, there's going to be other people that dig in and go, the world's not racist. There is no racism whatsoever. You're an ingrate. You're making way too much money to complain about anything ever. And that's why I wouldn't take a knee, because everything that we do, if we're going to really kind of get to the nitty gritty and bring people together, and like I said, heal divides, build bridges, unite people in thoughts and hearts and minds, well, there's really no room for being misunderstood. And that's a shame. And I think people have kind of lost a sense of humor. It's that thing where everybody has an internet connection and therefore feels like the center of a universe, and people feel like more of a validated human being if they manage to trumpet about how they're offended that something isn't cool. And that's a shame, like I said. What else, Funkhouser?
Oh, you got about a minute to wrap everything up here.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Is that why you turned the music off?
A long time ago.
Oh, man. Are we not, again, going to get to why a frat is a good idea?
I don't think so.
Oh. Oh, well. That'll be something we discuss next week.
If we're even online next week.
Have a good one.